Today, we are about to interview or review about the car which feels like cockpit inside of an airplane. This is Hyundai Kona EV. This is currently discontinued, but this is one of the favorite cars of many EV enthusiasts including me. Now, it has been 6 years for this customer, Anuj, and he has driven this for more than 1.2 lakh kilometers. Now, let's talk in his words and let's discuss with him how good, bad, what were the reasons for the car and everything. Chalo. 1 rolling, 2 rolling, 3 rolling. Hi Anuj.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
You have introduced me to a car which has now become my favorite car, Hyundai Kona EV. In summary, if you want to describe your experience of this car, it's been what, 2 years for you this car?
It's been almost 6 years now.
6 years?
Yeah.
So if you want to summarize this in 3-4 sentences, what do you say about the car?
The car was rather complete, reliable, and by far the most exciting experience I've had in cars till date.
How many cars have you driven before you went to this car, Kona?
I've driven multiple cars, Innova, the Mercedes CLA, the Hyundai Eon, Hyundai Creta 800, my first car.
Innova, and from the Mercedes to this.
Yeah.
So when you took it for the first time, what was your first impression like?
The car's first impression was a bit confusing because still wasn't sure what we were getting. But then the first drive is what told me what we were getting. So it was very exciting to see the way the car launches off the line. So that's why I always use the word exciting when it comes to this car.
How much did it cost?
This costed 25 lakhs on road.
And the battery pack?
It came with a 39.5 battery pack.
Claimed range was around 450 I assume.
Yeah, the claimed as per Hyundai, it's around 450.
How much is the real range you're getting in this car?
Initially, we used to get a real range of between 350 to 380 depending on the speed. Now it's dropped a bit, so I can say minimum range of 300 kilometers.
Is Kona your primary car?
Yes, it is a primary car. It's driven around completely for everyday use and for long drives as well.
In these 6 years, what were the best things that you absolutely love driving in this car? And when you're not driving, you crave like experiencing it again just to go for a drive to experience that.
For sure, then I have to start off with the driving dynamics. Probably the most stable and most confidence-inducing car that I've ever driven. Especially, it doesn't matter if it's at low speeds or high speeds or on a turning. You can just take the car at a turning at a higher speed, knowing that the car is going to be stable and you're going to have the grip to take the turn. That's something that I really miss when I drive other cars. And irrespective of price point, I can say the second thing that I miss in other cars, especially when I move back to a diesel or a petrol ICE engine, is the instant acceleration, the torque. When I move to a petrol or a diesel car, I end up feeling like, I have to work hard to get the car to overtake or to just reach a certain speed, especially when you're starting from lower speeds. And in our very difficult variable traffic, I do find that very useful. So I'm a little bit of an aggressive driver. So one more thing that I miss when I drive any other car versus when I drive this is the guilt-free pleasure of driving fast. That I'm able to just accelerate knowing that when I brake ahead, I'm going to get back that power with the regen. So the regen is something that I really miss in other cars, especially even in other EVs where the regen is weaker. So that one pedal drive is something that I appreciate and I really enjoy in this car, that I'm able to just pull on the regen paddle and bring the car almost to literally a complete halt.
So the regeneration in this is so strong.
Yes, the regen in this car is amazing. In my opinion, it's by far the best implemented regen in most EVs that I've driven.
Which level regen do you prefer the most?
I always drive at the maximum regen available because end of the day, one thing is very evident in India, we have to brake more than we accelerate. So regen is always on for me and as hard as possible.
So wasn't it tough for you to get used to the jerky motion with that? Strong acceleration and then strong regeneration?
No, because I realized one thing is for this car specifically, the regen implementation is extremely smooth. So if there's any jerk of back and forth motion sickness movement, that's only on the driver. So I think I'm pretty good at managing my driving style so that the passengers don't feel that back and forth swinging. So I've never had a complaint when I'm driving, but I have heard of a lot of other people complaining about that problem when they're sitting in other people's EVs when they are driving.
So far, how many kilometers have you driven in this car so far?
This has completed more than 120,000.
And how's the suspension setup in this car?
That is one thing that I have to highlight actually, which probably I should have spoken about earlier, is the suspension is definitely one of the best I've ever sat in. It's a bit stiff, sporty setup, but end of the day, even the most rugged roads, the car will eat up the potholes, eat up the bumpiness, and you don't feel it in the seats. It doesn't matter if you're in the driver's seat, passenger seat, or in the rear seats. Nobody feels the impacts at all.
So stronger acceleration, sportier drive, and much grounded experience must push you to just go beyond 80, 90 and 120 on highways, correct?
Yeah, the problem is also that I don't really realize when I'm beyond 100 until I hit maybe 120, and that's when I realize I've already exceeded the speed limit.
Will that also mean that you face range anxiety more often in this car than normal?
I wouldn't say I face range anxiety because end of the day I only drive hard when I know that I am on a route which has chargers. Since it's been 6 years, I'm quite accustomed to planning my trips, especially starting from a time when there were no chargers. So I can say that range anxiety is not a thing, but that driving hard is something that I plan and I choose to do depending on the availability of chargers.
So I'm assuming you have been to quite a few long drives in this car.
Yeah, we have done quite a significant number of kilometers on long drives.
To which destinations, just to give a context?
I have done mostly to my native, which is in Kundapur.
From Bangalore?
From Bangalore, yes. And so we have taken multiple different routes. I've gone till Belgaum, I've gone till Hyderabad. Obviously, Mysore side is very close, Coorg. And I think I've been till the farthest is probably Kodaikanal, Dindigul side. So those were the most longest drives I think I've done.
Out of all these longest drives, what was the drive which gave you some confidence about EV? One. Second, which made you skeptical about EVs because of the charging station availability?
So then I guess I have to go back many years and say that my confidence in the car came when there were hardly any chargers available and I had just two options to go to my native and return. And although there was a landslide in between, I still managed to do all of that. Although it did cost me a number of hours, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours extra. So that gave me confidence that no matter the situation, one thing is available everywhere, and that is electricity. There may be a power outage for an hour, 2 hours, but I'm still going to find that. So it gave me confidence that the fuel source is not the problem. But then, yeah, what made me skeptical about EVs for a little while was the growth of the charging network, because for quite some time there was stagnation of the charging network, and also not just the network being an issue, the reliability of these chargers being a big concern, because whenever I would reach a charging station, especially when you go towards hill station sides and all, there would be a lot of power outages and there would be problems with the charger, or more recently actually the more annoying thing is other people have EVs. So they're just blocking the car. But overall, nowadays my confidence in the charging network is improving because reliability has improved and the companies have taken the situation of our discomfort quite seriously.
The other cars blocking the charging gun, what was it?
When I say other cars are blocking the charging gun, it could be for a number of reasons. One is maybe they have occupied a larger capacity charger using a smaller capacity car like a Tiago, and they are quite inconsiderate in the way they charge as well. People tend to charge for a very long time. Maybe till 100% on the highway, which isn't necessary, as most people know. So it's a bit of a ethical dilemma where you're asking people to be more considerate to the next person who needs to charge. An EV itself, an EV owner would have continued charging his car well beyond 90%, and maybe for the last 10% blocked the charger for an additional 35 to 40 minutes. That 35 to 40 minutes is a lot of time for each person waiting beyond him. And no matter how many times we request them and ask them not to do that, because there's a few charging etiquettes you need to follow, maybe until another 10 years gets over where charging infrastructure is sufficient, they don't tend to listen because they say, no, we need the additional, we've been told to charge till 100% by our company. So there was a lot of time waste lost over there, especially if, as most EV owners know, the last 10% is the slowest charging period. So there's no really benefit of wasting your time charging there. There's also issues where you reach a charging location that's located in a restaurant or maybe even a showroom, and the security guards are not present and they will lock the gates late at night and just gone to sleep. So we are unable to access the chargers in some locations. Although if I had to admit, I've never really faced that as much. Maybe on one occasion over 6 years. But then the most common situation faced by most EV owners, especially within the city, where in locations like malls, where parking is a scarcity, the property owners and security guards don't really stop other ICE owners or regular cars from parking in locations earmarked for EV charging. And unfortunately, we are not able to navigate our car in any other way to park and get the charging cable into our car. So that creates a big problem for us, where we are unable to charge because of people blocking the charging.
Okay, so you're referring about the charging curve and the speed related to that. Can you explain that a bit?
The charging curve and the speed of charging is quite important when you're buying an EVs, in my opinion, because obviously depending on the battery size, your charging speed will either be more or less, and you'd obviously want more charging speed. At the same time, that each car, the way they tune the software for maybe safety related reasons, they may not have the peak charging speed for too long. Most cars tend to have the highest charging speed between 20 to 50%, and then from 50 to 70 or 80% can be a slightly lower value, but not too slow. But above 80%, most cars tend to have very slow charging speed. So that is what we call charging curve, wherein from 20 to 80%, how long do you take? Because some companies may aggressively throttle the charging speed in such a way that the charging curve, say if I have to take a number like a kilowatt, one car would do 20 to 50% in maybe 15 to 20 minutes because it's taking its full peak capacity of 60 kilowatts charging speed. Another car with the same size battery pack, just because it's a different manufacturer, may have a much slower charging speed, just because it may have initial charging speed, a much faster charging speed, but towards the top end charging curve drops dramatically, and from 60 kilowatts I drop down all the way till 16 kilowatts. So that's a lot of time wasted. So we end up having to plan our charging stops based on even additional factors such as charging curve, and those are factors which most people shouldn't really care about. All you should think about is finding a charging station, plugging in and charging your car, not about the mental maths of how long am I going to spend additionally trying to charge a car beyond a certain percentage.
So basically from 20 to 80 will take what, roughly around 30 minutes, and 80 to 100 will take another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So you could rather start driving at 80% and go to a nearby charging station and charge again from 20 to 80, rather than spending another 30 minutes just for that extra 20%, which will yield hardly 100 kilometers of range, is what you're saying.
Exactly. It just makes sense to continue your journey and charge the next available charging stop than to waste that time doing nothing, when you could just move on to the next restaurant and charge again while you're eating your lunch or breakfast.
How well spread are the fast chargers on highways especially?
I would say that over the years, spread of chargers has been quite impressive. I would say that we can travel most of India with a comfortable number of chargers available, especially on our main highways. In the south, I feel like we do have a lot more chargers maybe compared to the north. As for me, at least personally, I've never, at least in the last 2 years, I've not really thought about the availability of chargers, because there have been that many chargers available, and even if one is occupied or has an issue, I know I can just move on to the next charger in the next 50 kilometers. So for sure, there's multiple chargers, and not just across the highway, but in a single location, there are a lot more charging options today.
Do you charge the car at 20% at the fast chargers when you drive?
Yeah, I try not to go below 20%, because I'd like to have that additional buffer just in case there's some issue with the charger and I'd like to move on to another spot. And also, we've been told not to charge not to drain the battery too low, because maybe there could be a slightly higher degradation over a period of time. So, but yeah, for multiple reasons, it just doesn't make sense to drain below 20%.
Okay, so let's make you charge at 20% of charge and you go till 80%, which is around 60% of charge which you consume from that point to the next charger.
Yes.
This car with a real range of around 350 kilometers, I'm assuming you're talking about 200 kilometers of real range.
Yes.
Now, do you find fast chargers for every 200 kilometers on highways?
For sure. I think we find fast chargers every 50 kilometers for sure. So there's very less number of highways, main highways. I'm not talking about the side roads, obviously, where we have, I think for sure, every 50 kilometers, we have at least a single charger, which I can't vouch for whether it's working or not, but for sure that surety is there that we have that charger available. So for 200 kilometers range, I know I have multiple options, and I tend to stop within that 200 kilometers of range, maybe at 190 or maybe 210 kilometers sometime, depending on the terrain or other circumstances.
So if you're saying one charger for every 50 kilometers spread across 200 kilometers are basically 4 charging stations, all you have to find is one charging station which is working, which is about 25% of probability.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, that's pretty impressive then. So I'm assuming there was probably not a single instance where you were low on charge and the charging stations was not available, or it was far away and you were struggling for range.
I have been in my share of situations where I've run down the car till 0% because of lack of charging availability. This is probably on my way back from my native, which was from Kundapur to Bangalore, and the climb up the ghats was quite draining experience because there was a landslide that had happened and diverted our route. But
It was in which year?
this was in 2021. He'll do this for 5 minutes, I think.
Cut my sir.
So I've had my share of close experiences wherein I would drive the car all the way down to like 0% on one occasion because of charger unavailability due to, and also I had to divert the route due to a landslide. And back in 2021, when there was fewer chargers available, I ended up having to find my way to the next charging station by driving extremely slow at 40-50 kilometers an hour speed, which isn't that bad looking back, but in the moment it was quite intense to calculate the range and be unsure whether or not you're reaching.
When it went to 0% of charge, how did you charge?
I did reach the next available charger. Thankfully, back then Hyundai did provide us the option of AC slow charging at various Hyundai locations. So all I had to do was reach one of those Hyundai locations, and I had at least I could get enough charge in 2 hours to move on.
Okay, now all this aside, so far in this car, what was those few things which you felt could have been better?
Things in this car that I genuinely wish they had worked on, or maybe even included, was the main issue. Like I guess the rear passenger legroom. It's quite cramped for anyone who's more than 5'6", and the seating position is quite high. And because this is maybe a converted version from a petrol to a EV, they have raised the floor for that reason. The boot space, despite the size of the car, is quite less. I think around 350 liters is quite less for the size of the car. The third most important thing that I feel is lacking in this car is the lack of the Blue Link feature from Hyundai. And while other Hyundai cars at the time of launch already had those car features like the Santa Fe or maybe any other car, this car, even though being one of the more premium cars in Hyundai segment, was lacking it. And they had explained to us that basically they couldn't give us the feature since this is a CBU car and it's they are not able to provide that Indian feature to a foreign import car.
How about the service of the car? Now especially it is important now because the car is not there in India now. This is currently discontinued since last July of 2024 if I'm not wrong.
I think so, yes.
Okay.
In terms of service, I think over the years it's been quite comfortable, especially because Hyundai is quite caring. They show that they are concerned about any dissatisfaction with the customer. Overall, the service, they have never pestered us to do service on time or threaten us with a warranty by voiding the warranty or something like that. The service cost has been quite reasonable, not more than 2,000 rupees maybe per service, which is just some basic labor charges because not much work goes into an EV when we give for service. Even at the 90,000 service to 1 lakh service, they have not really charged us too much. It's been around 5,000 to 6,000 for any major changes as well. And even though I've had multiple situations where there's been something wrong with a part replacement, I would be angry with them. The moment I would raise a complaint, the car would be taken by one of their service people immediately and returned to me in a couple of hours. In terms of escalation of an issue, it was quite comfortable for as a customer.
Now does it concern you that the car is discontinued, that you might not find parts for replacement?
For sure, there's a concern, but as far as I understand the laws and the way Hyundai operates in India, that they continue their availability of parts for many years beyond the car's discontinuation. So the confidence is there, the track record is there. So even though this is a slightly older car, I know that I'll not have any issues in the coming years. And even beyond the warranty period, I know that I'll not have any issues in the coming years.
Now we have seen the outside and exterior and the service of the car. Let's check inside. This is one of my favorite parts of this car, mine, but I want to know yours.
For sure, I like the interiors of the car. It's quite comfortable and quite intuitive and easy to understand for pretty much anyone who's entering the car for the first time. I've always been appreciative of the way Hyundai has thought and put a lot of thought into the way they have of each control of the car. And in my opinion, this car, while a little lacking in terms of space for the rear passenger, is extremely comfortable for the driver and the co-passenger.
First thing which I can observe is there is not many touchscreen controls or the capacitive touch. These are the reliable physical controls. What's your take on this? How much are you enjoying this, or do you feel like a few more touchscreen would have been better.
I think this is the perfect balance of buttons with a usable touchscreen, because if I have to access any part of any menu, I just have to hit a button, and there are multiple buttons, all the way from the AC controls to the media controls, and including a favorite button on the MID. Plus, I have dedicated controls on the steering wheel.
Favorite as in the star one, which you can assign to anything you want.
Yes, a favorite button,
Okay.
yeah, which I can assign to any function I would like to use more often.
And which is it in this car?
This is to my Android Auto, because I tend to use Android Auto a lot.
And this has rear camera, correct?
Yes, this has a rear camera. It doesn't have 360, but does have a single back-facing camera.
Now talking about the experience of driving, first experience of it, and then how it evolved with time.
In terms of the first time of driving this car, I think I was a bit comfortable straight away. I wasn't confused. But yeah, as I've driven it more, I've understood that the car was built purely for the driver, and the way the steering is, the way the steering controls are, the way the gear shifter is, it's the only one that I've ever seen with this controls, and that is all purely made with the driver in mind. So I'm able to control all the functions I need within arm's movement. I don't have to look around or even feel around for any controls.
And this gear shifter, while he was driving, I observed that there was hardly a wait period between it shifted from the drive mode to reverse mode.
Yes, it's very well done. It's probably the only car I've ever experienced where I can shift and reverse from drive to take a U-turn or whatever it is without waiting or wondering about whether the car is in gear. And because the buttons are right next to each other, it's so quick for me to understand that I've hit the drive button or hit the reverse button or park button. I have no questions or no doubts in my mind, even from the first day of driving.
Best features which you probably didn't notice when you got the car and you appreciated it later.
Details which I find very driver oriented and driver friendly is first, as a driver, I need my controls within my arms, and the regen controls being right here, and they're quite comfortable to hold. The paddles are very intuitive and easy to understand, and with all the regular Hyundai controls being here and understandable, most people would easily drive this car without a second of hesitation. The display screen is a combination of digital while still being stagnant, so there's not too much moving around of the information I would like. The most important is the seating position. I find the seating position and the comfort of the seats to be very good for me, especially when driving at higher speeds or to more of bad roads where you get thrown out around a lot in most cars, but not in this car, because I find myself planted in the seat always.
Long back when we met somewhere in last year, you were referring me about one detailing about the charging thing in this car, where you plug in the charger, it shows the charge level there, and here too, if it is charging or not.
There's a lot of useful information just from the either outside, where the charging level indicator is there, 3 lights, and also there's the lights change as per the charging situation. If there's a fault, it shows red. If there's a successful charge initiation, it shows green. And if it's not charging and it's just plugged in, it's showing white. So it's very clear from the outside itself whether I know whether it's charging or it's not charging. From the inside, I get a lot of information here as well about whether it's charging or not charging and what speed it's charging, which is extremely useful because I don't have to ever step out or step in just for a certain specific type of information. The way the charging port is as well, there is a sensor which shows that the charging door is open, and in case I've ever missed out on closing the door properly, it lets me know immediately. There are a lot of sensors across the car, including in the lights, where if a light faults for any reason, the car lets me know immediately that the light is not working. The internal storage is amazing, and yeah, because the seats are comfortable, I am always happy to be in the driver's seat first. Okay. But yeah, if I have to come back to the storage level, the car is quite large in terms of volume of storage within the car. I have my wireless charging pad here, which has significant amount of space for more than just a phone. I have my cup holders here. I have cup holders on the sides. I have small little cubby holes on the sides. The glove box isn't that large, but it's decent size and comfortable for me as for what requirements I have. And the main storage area that I prefer to keep things in is my center console, which is quite large, and also there's additional storage space in between in the what would have been the drivetrain area. So uh, that along with you have your sunglasses holder all give ample amount of space for me as a driver. And in typical Hyundai manner, they do give good LED lights, and they give your vanity mirror with light that is quite ergonomic. Even when you shut it, it turns off by itself.
Oh, that's pretty good. The AC, how good is it?
The AC is quite amusing actually. It's a good. It's not anything special, but the fact that they've thought a lot about it, like giving a driver-only feature in this car for the because if I'm alone in the car, why would I need to cool the passengers? And it thankfully does come with heated seats. And this year in the colder winter, it's been quite helpful.
Is there any accessory that you got for the cabin?
Unfortunately, no. Hyundai has not given any accessories with the car. What you see is literally the exact same car that we got during delivery. Maybe the only thing I've added is a dash cam, because obviously you need one in today's environment.
And how's the sunroof? Do you actually use it often?
I think this is probably the least used feature of the car, because why would I ever use a sunroof in a hot country? So maybe I've opened it a couple of times in 6 years of ownership. So yeah, not a useful feature for sure. Sunroof just being a vanity feature, I think it also causes a lot more discomfort, with the car heating up a lot more during summers and me having to run the AC a lot harder. And while it doesn't cost me anything, it does cost me a little bit of charge in longer drives.
And the cabin inside, it doesn't feel much, but the car is approximately 4.1 meters long. It's because the front is slightly longer. So when you drive, or when you used to drive in the first few years, was it slightly tough for you, or take you some adjusting about the length of the car in the front, because it is longer than we expect?
Yeah, I think that is one thing that I had to adjust to immediately. It took me some time. I'm unable to look over the front of the bonnet, and the sides of the car are also a bit harder to judge. And despite being able to adjust after so many years as well, I still give an extra bit of gap just to be sure that I don't touch any footpath or curb or something else by mistake. The lack of a 360 camera does affect me in that situation. I wish this car did come with that feature. But overall, it's not been too difficult to manage even without such a feature.
Stock tires which you get, I read that they have slightly lesser grip than what you expect, which might get slightly tougher in terms of the braking distance on wet and muddy roads. Now, did you face any of such issues with the tires?
In terms of tires, I think the stock tires that came with the car was an excellent tire. They were decent quality tires and they did give quite good range. Unfortunately, those tires, in my opinion, were not built for Indian conditions, which was basically, it resulted with a lot of people I know having sidewall punctures or even basic punctures quite regularly. I'm not sure if it was capable of handling our Indian roads, and even my tires had to be changed pretty early on in under 50,000 kilometers. So while they were good for range in terms of grip that you mentioned, they were again a bit poor. The car would, for its power capacity of almost 400 Nm of torque, the car would do wheel spins quite often, and the traction control would kick in, and the braking distance would definitely increase. So I had to consider a lot of factors in terms of driving hard and fast. For someone who drives slow, I guess none of this would matter. And I did change eventually to regular tires, non-EV tires first. But later on, with my second or third set of tires, I should say, I changed back to pure EV tires.
When you had used the non-EV tires, was there any drop in range which you observed?
I feel there was about a 10% difference in my opinion.
10%, that's huge.
On certain routes, obviously that could be variable, as low as around 4%. But I think between 3 to 8% would be the ideal drop in range, is what I noticed. It didn't really affect my planning or my trips as such, but the additional comfort of a softer, more regular tire was better, and with additional grip was better than the pure EV tires being range oriented, a bit harder to drive on, and the lower grip on the pure EV tires was a bit difficult to accept especially during rainy season at higher speeds.
Now, talking about the rear seat, I'll probably change the question. How cramped is it?
The rear seat for my height seems fine. I'm not a very tall person, but I can understand somebody who's 5'11" may end up struggling on this seat in the back seat because, as you can see, the under thigh support is not that good, and even for my height. And while it's comfortable in terms of my back support, I think my foot space would be a little cramped as well. For me, as the height is also fine, I don't mind it. Maybe somebody taller would definitely again struggle for the same reason. And for sure, in my opinion, this car cannot seat 5 people. It has to be only 4.
And if you stretch the legs, will that be comfortable?
Yeah, if I stretch the legs, it's slightly comfortable. It's not that bad, but I think a lot more leg space is definitely needed.
I remember you mentioning one detailing about the air conditioning for the rear seats.
Yeah, that's a feature, or rather a small little detail that I think a lot of people in Hyundai and even other customers like myself were not aware of for the longest time. Uh, for context, this car doesn't have AC vents at the back, so we always thought that was a missing feature. But then, while cleaning the car, and I put my hand down and put the head down and have a look at what's under the seat, I noticed there are these holes, which turns out to be AC vents, and that activates when we turn on the cooling to the legs. So that's when I realized for the first time that there seems to be some sort of AC vents coming below, and that answered my question when I was sitting in the back seat once upon a time was why is my feet getting cold? And that's my answer. That basically, yeah, we were getting AC to the back seats, but via the foot area.
So, in summary, this is a driver's car which gives very good aggressive driving and soft driving. It doesn't matter, you will enjoy the driving in this car. This gives more of a grounded experience with slightly stiffer suspension for sporty feel. Seats are great and comfortable. Storage is adequate inside the car, but the space could have been slightly better at this price point of 25 lakhs 6 years ago. Now the car with this range and the features and the battery pack of roughly 40 kilowatt hour might feel expensive. If you are looking for a second hand car of Kona, you might want to look around 8, 9, 10 lakhs of price for this car in 2026. Now, along with that, there are slight interesting detailing about the car which will make your driving experience in this car much more enjoyable. It gives a trust that the Hyundai have worked on these small details to make your experience best, starting with the charging gun and the controls on the infotainment and responsive working actual controls inside the car. Now this is about Anuj's Kona EV, but this person also has Tata Tiago EV and XEV 9e from Mahindra. These interviews are coming soon. Stay subscribed to not miss that. Chalo.